Let's lock it in, twins. If you're here, I'm assuming this might have been you a couple times. I'm truthfully sorry you had to go through that. But in today's video, we're going to give you all the tips and tricks you need to become that next demon in the lobby. You feel me? That next head tap, one tap. God, I got you. Now, I know a lot of people are going to want to skip this step, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Ain't no Radiant gonna be hitting crazy shots. Immortal gonna be hitting crazy shots without learning the basics and warming up first. So as soon as you get in here, I want you to load up the bots on hard. And if that's too difficult for you, just pump them down to medium. And I want you to be aware of how much pressure you're putting on your thumbsticks. Personally, for me, I think lighter is better because the more pressure you're applying, the more flicky and fast you need to be, reacting to each situation. So if you ever see people hit them crazy flicks on, certain clips, it's because they got used to that pressure and they know how much it takes for them, how much pressure it takes for them to get from target to target. So you want to be practicing that in the range, in your DMs, in your team death matches until it's just second nature between you and your thumb. And you don't even really have to think about a lot of your gunfights. Here's an example. I had an idea where this chamber just shot me from, and I knew how much pressure I needed to put on my stick to get to his head before dying. Another great thing you can do is just try your best to keep your right analog stick on a horizontal path for as long as you can, so you don't have to constantly adjust headshot height. Once I'm there, it's only left to right. Now that we're past physically warming up, I want you to mentally warm up alongside that. And what I mean by mentally warming up is just concentrating on your crosshair in your fights. Use that as your main focus and let your peripheral track your enemies for you. That usually works best for me, and it allows me to get a good sense of how much pressure I need for the day to get from head to head. When I lose a fight, I just ask myself why or what I did wrong. When I'm holding certain angles, I ask myself if my reaction time can compensate for how tight I'm holding this angle. Just all little things like this, add up to you winning and losing gunfights. And while I'm on holding certain angles, yes, the closer your crosshair is to the corner of the angle, the faster your reaction time is going to have to be when killing somebody swinging that angle. So it's never really good to hold angles extremely tight. Try to give yourself some grace and, just be real with yourself on what you believe the shot you can hit with your reaction time. And I promise you, majority of the time, especially in console, people will peek an angle, and if you're holding around one step away from the wall, majority of people will just walk right into your crosshair, walk right into your trap. Next, we're just going to be going over some crosshair placement and where you should be placing it, using markers around the map to help you place it and things around that nature. So as you can see in this clip, we have lines on the wall. You see the dark brown line to my left? That's a headshot line. You want to have your crosshair at the bottom of that dark brown line, and that will always be headshot for any character. They're all the same height. And it's also other things, let's say when we're ready to hit this sight behind it. Those green Radiant boxes right in the middle of the screen, headshot. Right at the top of them, if you put your crosshair just below the top of them, you'll be on someone's head. And that leads me into pre-aiming. So if I know someone's right on this corner, per se, I'm going to pre-aim into the wall, put my crosshair into the wall, basically where they're already at, and I'm going to take my step to the left and shoot. If they're not there, when I go to peek, maybe I jump peek the next time, try to get some info, but at no time am I just going to be sitting on this corner crouched or anything. And then once you have all the info you needed, you then go in and you confirm the kill. Now, I'm sorry to break this to you, but I have one important rule before you even think about stepping foot into a comp match. In your TDM and DMs, I need you to be placing at least third place or higher with 20 kills and a positive KD ratio. If we're not doing that, I don't think it's any reason we should be throwing RRR or anybody else's. Just off the fact that you might feel good in your head. If the stats aren't matching up to them, we're not touching ranked. The next topic we're going to be going over is dead zones. So dead zones are basically places you can put your crosshair that no one is ever going to be. You're not going to kill anybody. It's not wall bangle. It's nothing you can do with that. That is a dead zone. So here I'm going to point out some. That box to your left, dead zone. The wall to your right, a dead zone. The ground, a dead zone. You can't do anything with those. More of the story, legitimately, if you can't get a kill from where your crosshair is aiming, don't aim there. I want you to think of it like a kill switch. Like once my crosshair gets to your head and I hit this trigger, you're dead in the fastest time possible. I'm not swinging my crosshair left to right, up and down, looking around with it, using it as my eyes. No, I'm using it as a kill switch. The crosshair is the bullet. So just think of your crosshair as a more lethal thing in general, especially when you might be sniping or something, or you're holding an angle, things of that nature. Let them walk into your crosshair. You don't always need to be flicking it left, right, up, down, trying to look around, just stay out the dead zones and keep it in an area that you always think you can get a kill with it. Even in this clip that we're watching right here in front of us, you never see my crosshair going into a dead zone. I'm never looking around exactly to see where people are, things like that. I have my map, I have my teammates, I have things like that. I have audio cues, to point out where people are. You don't always need to be using your crosshair as your eyes, if that makes sense. Now, before we move on to slicing the pie, I just want to show you that these boxes are on other maps and they do line up with other people's heads, as you can see. So every map has your markers, and I'm leaning into one right now. But before I fully commit, we should probably go over slicing the pie, which I'm going to demonstrate in this clip right here in front of us. All right, so slicing the pie is just clearing every angle with your crosshair before you move on to the next. So you're not swinging into like a group of 4 people, 4 to 5 people. You're not swinging into the whole team. I'm clearing angle by angle, left to right, or right to left if that's how you're approaching a site, or the angle that you're peeking. No peeking. Grown ass man, by the way. This would just eliminate a lot of surprises that people run into. And sometimes it could just, be getting you info. It can have you ready for fights. Your opponent sees you when you see them, and you're not just full out running as they see you, As you take step by step, you're always ready for the next fight. So slicing a pie, clearing angle by angle is always, best. So I want you to pretend that you're this blue guy right here, and you're retaking this box. They just planted, 1v3 situation. And you're going to clear it from right to left without skipping angles. Every arrow pointed out is something you're aiming at. So you would clear right and then move up to the next guy, which is right here. And then without skipping any angles, we still got to check the room because we don't know what this, we're dry peeking into this. And then you're going to clear the guy on the far left once you get there. But that's after taking individual steps. We're not just running there, So that's just a little description or a little illustration, I guess. But that's all it around slicing the pie. And that's majority of the tips I got for you guys in this video. Please don't forget to sub and like. I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate all the comments. And I appreciate it if you made it this far. And if you did, I have 2 more little small tips for you just to help you out in your ranked games. But change your pacing from round to round. Never be too predictable. If you play mid on defense 3 rounds straight, play slow on sight 1 round, hot in the smoke 1 round, maybe flank. Just never let them know your next move. And please, for the love of God, stop repeating the same angles after like the 3rd peak, because you're going to die. All right, cool. We're on the same page. Appreciate you for watching.